These are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. This preamble to the Declaration contains some of our most important founding principles that unfortunately we have moved away from as a culture. The first of these principles is very simple. There is a creator, and that creator has created man, and man has intrinsic value because he is created by God. Modern man and modern culture, modern society believes that man is the result of random forces in the universe, that we are the product of time plus chance plus matter. If that's your view of humanity, you devalue the value of life with that view. But that is not the view the founders had. This country was premised upon the notion that there is a God and that he created us. And because he created us, we are all equal, and we have rights that flow not from government, not from the Supreme Court, not from Congress, but they flow from God himself. And because they come from God, man cannot take them away. And the first of those rights that the founders mention in the Declaration is the right to life. Unfortunately, our government no longer secures that right. And our culture has embraced a worldview in which life, the value of life, is diminished because life is simply the product of random forces in the universe. And so what we need to do, and what the Crisis Pregnancy Center does, is return to and reassert those founding principles. And my friend Larry Grooms is here today, and I want you to know that Larry serves in the Senate with me. He was your speaker last year, and Larry is a big champion for life. In fact, Larry authored the bill this year that we passed that permitted South Carolina to opt out of abortion coverage under Obamacare. So y'all give Larry a big hand for that. And I co-sponsored that bill with Larry, and I was the author of the Born Alive Infant Protection Act that we passed this year as well. And so we had a very good year in the General Assembly standing up for life. And really all we're doing is reasserting those founding principles that the country was founded upon. And I want to say this, as y'all engage the culture with what you're doing today, with what you do day in and day out at the Crisis Pregnancy Center, do not let anyone tell you that you must keep your religious convictions, the convictions that you have because of faith, private, that you can't engage the public square, that you can't bring those into the public square in order to impact your view of politics and your view of public policy. And why? Why? Because I'm going to quote Nancy Percy in her book, Total Truth. She says there is nothing, because, let me preface it with this, because modern culture says your religion is okay as long as you keep it private, as long as you don't let it impact your view politically, you don't let it impact your view of the culture, you don't let it impact your behavior, it's okay. Well, a religion that doesn't impact behavior is no religion at all, I'll tell you that. And Nancy Percy said this in her book Total Truth, which is a great book. I'd encourage all of you to read it. There is nothing neutral about the claim that the only way to get the truth, to get at truth, is to deny God's existence. And that's what modern culture wants us to do. There is nothing neutral about the claim that the only way to get at truth is to deny God's existence. That is a substantive religious claim, just as it is a substantive religious claim to affirm God's existence. It's the same side, it's two sides of the same coin. And we have not just a right, we have a duty to engage the culture, to make a difference on the basis of our convictions. The Founding Fathers had that same view. In fact, they understood that the country would not survive and prosper if it weren't for people with religious and moral convictions engaged in the public square like y'all are. And I want to close with a quote from Francis Schaeffer. This is from his book, Whatever Happened to the Human Race. Schaeffer said, "Cultures can be judged in many ways, but eventually every nation in every age must be judged by this test. How did it treat its people? The final measure of mankind's humanity is how humanely people treat one another." The Crisis Pregnancy Center, because of your work, and because I think Francis Schaeffer's test is true, the question is, how humanely do you treat humanity? That really is your measure of humanity. Because of your work in protecting life, in helping people who have an unwanted pregnancy or an unplanned pregnancy, bring that child to term and protect that human life, according to the test that Schaeffer established, which I think is a good test, and because of your hard work, we will be judged favorably by generations yet to come. And I think of the quote from William Wilberforce. William Wilberforce, you know, he fought a 20-year battle in Parliament to eradicate the slave trade in the British Empire. His mentor was John Newton. John Newton was a slave ship captain. He brought slave ships into Charleston Harbor. John Newton is the author of the hymn Amazing Grace. John Newton was known as a slave ship captain to be one of the most ferocious and unmerciful slave ship captains in that horrible trade. He became a Christian. He became a preacher, and of course quit his job as a slave ship captain. And he was the spiritual mentor and discipler, really, of William Wilberforce, who eradicated the slave trade in the British Empire. And the British Prime Minister at the time said of Wilberforce, he said, "Millions yet unborn will praise his name," talking about William Wilberforce, because of what he did for humanity. Y'all are engaged in a similar type endeavor. Millions of people yet unborn will have life and will be able to praise and thank you for your work and the work of other pregnancy centers across the country because of your commitment to your God and to your convictions to serve humanity. And keep it up. You're doing a great job. Thank you.